Alright guys, welcome to the next video. And this video is the poker coding assignment. Now in this assignment, we're going to be creating an application that determines the ranking of a card hand based on the given input. We're going to give the application 5 poker card values. Based on the set of cards given, we will determine the type of hand that it is. Now we're going to break down what poker is. What is poker? Poker is a game of gambling, strategy, and skill. It's also a game of ranking by poker hand. Each player is given 5 cards, and the hand is a set of cards given to a player. So basically what I mean by this is that it's a game where the players are wanting to get the highest ranking based on the current hand that they have. That's pretty much what the game is. So you may be asking yourself right now, what are all the types of poker hands? Alright, so as you can see here, I have a picture, and these are every type of poker hand ranking. The first is a royal flush. This is the highest ranking in poker. Right below that is a straight flush. Below that we have a 4 of a kind, and then a full house, a flush, straight, 3 of a kind, 2 pair, 1 pair, and a high card. So what I want to do right now is actually break this down for you so you kind of get a better understanding of what each one of these hands are. Alright, so let's start off from the top. The highest hand in poker is a royal flush. And a royal flush is a hand containing an ace, king, queen, jack, and a 10. And they all have to have the same suit. So as you can see in the example right here, we have an ace, king, queen, jack, 10, and they all have the same suit. Alright, next is going to be the straight flush. The straight flush is 5 cards of sequential rank, and they all have the same suit. So here we have 5 cards of sequential rank. By sequential rank, we're going to say that they are descending incrementally. So we have 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. This means that this hand has sequential rank. Pretty much it is descending incrementally. Alright, so 5 cards of sequential rank, and they have the same suit. And as you can see, they have the same suit, which is diamonds. Next will be 4 of a kind. This is a hand with 4 cards of one rank and 1 card of another rank. 4 cards of one rank and 1 card of another rank. Ace, 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 and then 9. And the suit doesn't really matter here. Next, we have a full house. A full house is a hand that has 3 of the same rank and 2 of the same rank. So 3 cards of the same rank and 2 cards of the same rank. So in this example here, 3 cards of the same rank, which are queen, 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 and 2 cards of another rank, which is jack, jack, and a jack. Next is going to be the flush. The flush is when you have 5 cards of the same suit and no sequential rank. So as you can see here, there's no sequential rank among these cards, but they all have the same suit. Next is going to be a straight. A straight is a hand that consists of 5 cards of sequential rank and not of the same suit. So as you can see, the straight is of sequential rank. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. They don't have the same suit. After that, we have the 3 of a kind. 3 cards of the same rank and 2 non-paired cards. So as you can see here in this example, 3 cards of the same rank and 2 non-paired cards. So 3 cards of the same rank, 2, 2, 2, and then the non-paired cards would be 5 and the queen. Next is going to be the 2 pair. This is when you have 2 cards of one rank, 2 cards of another rank, and 1 card of another rank. 2 cards of one rank, which would be ace and ace. 2 cards of another rank, king and king, and then we have one card of another rank, which would be a 9. After that, we have one pair, which is simply a hand that only contains 2 cards of the same rank. So as you can see here, ace, ace. Only 2 cards have the same rank in this hand. And then last would be the high card. This is the lowest poker hand. This means that this hand doesn't match any of the above rankings that I just mentioned. And this will be labeled as a high card. So without further ado, let's jump right into the code. Alright guys, so welcome to the coding portion of this video. So as you can see, I've already created myself a Java project, the poker project TCI for the coding interview. I also have 2 classes, an app.java class as well as a card.java class. We're going to get to this card.java class in a minute, but we're going to first of all start off with this app.java class. So to pretty much just give you an understanding before we dive into the coding, we're going to basically just be creating an application that allows a user to enter in 5 cards, and our application is going to determine the poker hand ranking of that set of cards that the user passes in. So what we're going to do, we're going to first of all start off in this app.java class, and before we start, I'm just going to zoom this in for you guys. Alright, so the first thing that we're going to need is we're going to basically just have a system.out.println piece of code that's going to allow the user to enter in 5 cards separated by spaces. So let me first of all just add a comment here, which is going to be begin the program by telling the user to enter 5 cards into the console. Alright, so or we can go not by telling, we can go asking, by asking the user to enter 5 cards into the console. Alright, so this is how we're going to go about doing it. sys sysout.println, and then we're just going to go enter cards separated by spaces. And I can be more specific and just go enter 5 cards separated by spaces. Alright, we can just save this, and obviously if we print it out, run the application, enter 5 cards separated by spaces, and then basically the user can enter in any 5 cards separated by spaces. Alright, so the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to add another comment here and just go create a scanner object that's going to be used for reading the console. So that's what we're going to be doing next. We're just going to add the comment here. Used for reading from the console. Just going to go scanner sc equals new scanner, and then we're just going to go system.in. Then we're just going to import. So basically what this line of code does is just prepares the application to read whatever the user types into the console. And to actually retrieve that value that the user enters, we're going to go something like this. Alright, so okay, so basically just scan the 5 cards that the user passes in once the user presses enter. Alright, so we're going to need a place to store the 5 cards that the user passes in. So we're going to go something like this. String entered cards. And then we're just going to basically set that equal to SC dot next line. And that's pretty much it. We basically just have a string, and basically we're taking the sc.scan next line, which is basically going to scan the value or the list or the 5 cards that the user enters into this string right here. All right. Now, the next thing that we need to do a check. We need to make sure that the user enters in exactly 5 cards. So when it comes to a poker hand, we're going to need exactly 5 cards to determine the ranking of that hand. So the first thing that we need to do, let me just add a comment here, make this easy for you guys to follow. While the cards entered is not exactly 5, repeat this All right, let me read this out for you guys. So while the cards enter is not exactly 5, repeat this code and restart the program. So basically, every time the user does not enter in 5 cards, I either want the program to restart. Well, ultimately, I do want the program to restart so that they can enter in the 5 cards again. So it's going to look something like this. While enter cards dot split dot length not equal to 5, then I want to do something. So basically, while the cards entered is not equal to exactly 5, I want to do this. System.out.println try again. Please enter exactly 5 cards. Then I want to go SC equals new scanner system.in. Then I want to go entered cards equals sc.next line. All right. So this is pretty straightforward. Hopefully this is easy for you guys to follow so far. So basically what's happening here is that I have a while loop which is going to continuously check to see if the user enters in 5 cards based on this entered card string that I've created. I'm then going to say if the user does not enter in 5 cards, we're going to print this out. System.out.print, please try again, enter exactly 5 cards. We're then going to create a new scanner, and then we're going to check this once more. So the sc.next line is going to be added to this entered cards. Then what's going to happen, this loop is going to continue until exactly 5 cards are entered. And we can actually try this out right now. I'll just show you guys right now. So enter 5 cards separated by spaces. So let's just say, for example, I enter in 4 cards. Let's just go King of Hearts, Ace of Spades, 2 of Diamonds, 3 clubs, 3 of clubs. All right, so as you can see, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now, if I press enter, try again. Please enter exactly 5 cards. So let's try entering in exactly 5. King of Hearts, Queen of Hearts, Ace of Spades, 2 of Diamond, 3 of clubs. All right, so if I press enter, I don't get this system.out anymore since I've entered in exactly 5 cards. So if the user enters in exactly 5 cards, we can then move on. All right. So the next thing that I want to do is this. I want to actually create an array list of cards entered by the user. So I need to actually create an array list next. So after this while loop, I just want to go something like this. Create an array of cards entered by the user. I'm just going to go something like this. String cards equals entered cards dot split by space. All right. So I'm going to create this. Okay, so basically what I'm doing here, I have the string of entered cards, and basically I'm turning it into a cards array list. And this array list, and this array actually is going to be populated based on these spaces. So every space, for example, like every space between here is going to be added to this card array. All right, so before we move on, what we're going to do, we're going to go into our card.java class. We need to actually create the card object. So if you think about a card object, the card object, if you just pull out a card from a deck, you're going to notice that the card is going to have two things, a face and then a suit. So in this card class, we need to add these data members here. Public string face, all right, and then public string suit. Now, after that, we're basically just gonna need to add a constructor, which is gonna look something like this: public card, and then string face, string suit, and then just go this dot face equals face, this dot suit equals suit. All right. And then we also just want to add this. All right, so basically I want to explain what's going on here. So basically when we create a card object, we need to be able to pass in the card's face as well as the suit. And we're going to do that in our app.java class. And another thing that we need to do in this class is this. We need to provide some getter and setter methods. I believe there's a way to add this here somewhere. If not, we can just create it by hand. Okay, let me zoom out for a minute. Generate getters and setters. Go to OK. All right, so we have our getter and setter methods here. So basically we'll be able to set the face as well as retrieve the face from a card object. So this is all we really need for this card.java class. So go ahead and just save it, and then we're going to make our way back to the app.java. All right, so in this app.java, let me zoom this in once more. All right, so after we create an array of cards entered by the user, we're going to actually then go about and create an array list. And basically, when it comes to this array list, we're going to create an array list to actually hold these card objects. So we're going to go something like this. My cards equals new array list. All right, so we have our array list here. Let me just make some more space. All right, so the next thing that we're going to need to do, we're going to need to actually create a loop to loop through the origin card array, and then we're going to add each card's face and suit to this new array list that we've created right here. So let's just go here and let me add a comment. I like adding comments because it basically just gives a clear picture of all the code that I'm writing for you guys. So I'm hopefully make it easier for you guys to understand. Loop through the origin card array and add each card face and suit to the list. So I'm just going to go for int I equals 0. I is lesser than or equal to cards.length minus 1 I plus plus. All right. All right, so what we're going to do now, we're going to take this array list here, this my cards, and then we're going to add my cards dot add. Then we're going to add a new card. So new card string dot value of position I, char at 0. String dot value. I'll explain this in a minute. I dot char one second. Let's see. This is going to be string dot value of cards at position I dot char at All right, save this real quick. All right, so basically what's happening here is that I've created a loop, and this loop is going to iterate through each one of the cards in this array right here. And as it iterates through each element within that array, we're going to have this my cards array list. And in this my cards array list, which is empty here, we're going to add each one of the cards to this array, but we're going to add it as a card object. So as you know, in our card object here, we have a face and a suit. So what I'm doing is I'm retrieving the face as well as the suit, and then I'm entering it into this my cards array. So as you can see here, we have, for example, King of Hearts. We have a face, and then we have a suit. Okay? So the face that we have here is going to be cards at position I at position 0. So for example, in the first iteration, we would have a K, which would be populated here, which will be a king. And then in this first iteration, we're also grabbing the chart at position 1, which is going to be this, the heart. So what's happening is that this loop is going to add each one of the cards with their associated face and suit to this array list here. So hopefully this makes sense to you guys. So after this, all right, so after this loop, we're going to have another class called determine the hand. And I'm going to implement this later, but I'm just going to add the code for this now. Equals new determine the hand. My cards, and also I'm just going to add a little comment here. And determine the hand for processing. It's all going to make sense later. All right, so we're going to implement this determine the hand class in a minute, but basically it's going to be a class that is going to be used to determine the hand that the user enters. So if the user enters in 5 cards, what's going to happen is that it's going to go through this class, and they have different methods, you know, in this class that are that these cards are going to be passed in, and then from these methods we're going to determine the actual ranking of the hand. So we're going to go ahead and implement this determine the hand class right now. All right, guys, so what I'm going to do now is create the class determine the hand. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new class, determine the hand. I'm going to go to finish. And basically what this class is going to do is going to be a class that consists of functionality for determining the hand ranking. So I'm just going to add a comment here at the top, a class that consists of all functionality for determining and ranking. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to do, let me zoom this in for you guys. The next thing that we're going to do, we're going to add some data members. And basically we're going to have 2 data members to start off with. These are going to be data members that are going to be keeping track of the card hand as well as keeping track of the sorted card hand. So I'm just going to write a little comment here, data member that will keep track of the hand. It's going to have two data members here, array list of type card hand equals new array list. All right, then we're going to have another array list, also of type card, sorted card hand. All right, so basically I just have two array lists here. One array list is going to hold the value of the cards that are entered in by the user, and then the second one is going to hold, is basically just going to be an array list of all the cards that are sorted. So basically there's going to be other functionality that I add here, which is going to sort the card hand after it's been passed in, and I'm going to add it to this array list, this sorted card hand. It's going to be a new array list. All right, so another thing that we're going to need is a Boolean. Now, we're going to need a Boolean to basically check if the card hand is descending incrementally. So basically what this means is if the user enters in a set of cards, what's going to happen is that I'm going to add functionality to sort that hand of cards. And after it's sorted, I need to check if this card hand is descending incrementally. So that's what this Boolean is going to be used for. So this is going to go something like this. A Boolean to keep track of 5 cards in the hand are descending incrementally by rank. All right. All right, so basically, when I say descending incrementally, this basically means that, let's just say you have 5 cards, right? And when you have these 5 cards, we need to check if each one of the cards is moving to a lower rank among all of the 5 cards, pretty much. So basically, for example, if we go back, let me just zoom out real quick. If we go back to presentation here, you'll see this royal flush is an example of one. So we said that a royal flush basically has the ace, king, queen, jack, and the 10. So basically, as you can see, this is descending incrementally, which basically means that we start off with an ace, which is the highest, and then the second highest will be the king, third highest will be queen, and then the jack, then the 10. As you can see, they're all going down by rank by 1, pretty much. Ace, king, queen, jack, 10. So that's what descending incrementally basically means. It basically means that you're going to have 5 cards and you're going to go down to the second highest rank, then the third highest rank, then the fourth highest rank, and so on. So that's basically what descending incrementally is. But I'm going to get more into that later when I get into actually implementing the functionality for that, which will make things a whole lot clearer. But first of all, let's just go ahead and create this Boolean. Public static Boolean is DESCEND, descending incrementally. Set that equal to false. All right. Now we're going to move forward with a couple more Booleans. And these Booleans that I create now are going to be Booleans that determine the status of the hand. So, Boolean that will determine the status of all hands. So these Booleans are going to be very, very helpful down the line. And they're going to look something like this. Public static Boolean is royal flush. These are initially going to be set to false. And then we're going to do the same for all the other hands. Public static Boolean is straight flush false. Public static Boolean is 4 of a kind equals false. Public static Boolean is for a house equals false. Public static Boolean is flush equals false. Public static Boolean is straight equals false. Public static Boolean is 3 of a kind equals false. Public static Boolean is 2 pair equals false. Public static Boolean is high card equals false. Alright, so as you can see, I don't think I missed anything. We got the royal flush, just straight, 4 of a kind, full house, flush, straight, 3 of a kind, 2 pair, actually I'm missing one, public static Boolean is pair equals false. Alright, it's pair equals false and then high card. So this is going to be very, very helpful. So basically, the reason that we have these Booleans is we need to determine, based on the hand that the user passed in, we need to determine if the hand is a royal flush or not. If it's not a royal flush, it's going to make its way down to this, and we're going to check if the straight is, if the hand is a straight flush, and then so on until we get to the very end right here. And if the user enters in a combination of cards that does not match any of these hand rankings, then this basically means it's just not a hand in poker. Pretty much, it's not going to be labeled as any type of hand. All right. Now, the next thing that we need to do is actually create ourselves a constructor, and this constructor is gonna have a parameter of an array list of cards. So let me just write out a comment for this really quick. Alright, so this constructor will keep track of the actual hand passed in and prepare it so we can determine the type of hand ranking it is. Alright, so I'm just going to go public determine the hand array list card the passed in hand. And then I'm just going to go this dot hand equals the passed in hand. So basically, I can use this dot hand in any method that I create in order to retrieve the hand that the user has passed in. Alright guys, so next what we're going to be doing is delving into some helper methods, and these methods are not going to be used exactly to determine the hand of the cards, but these are going to be used to assist us in determining the hands of the card. So the first thing that we need to do, we're going to create a method called the sort hand method, and this method is going to return an array list of type cards. First, let me zoom this in for you guys. So the first thing I want to do is basically just add a comment to explain what I'm going to be doing here. So it's basically just going to be a method that will sort the 5 cards passed in by the user. All right, and I can just clear this console. All right. So yeah, like I said, this is going to be a method that will sort the 5 cards passed in by the user. So we're going to start off with this public array list of type card sort hand. We're just gonna return that hand for now. All right. So the first thing that we're going to need to do is create a hash map. All right, hash map of all ranks in card deck. That's the first thing that we're going to need to create. So basically something like this, hash map. And then this hash map is going to take in an integer and a string. And I'm going to name this HM ranks equals new hash map. All right, and as we know, hash maps are a key value pair. So the key is going to be an integer, and then the value is actually going to be a string. So I'm just going to start coding. It's just going to go something like this: HM ranks dot put 0 A. All right. So basically what I'm doing here is I'm going to add all the ranks in this hash map in incrementing order. So we're going to have a key value pair. As I said, the key is going to be an integer, and then the string is going to, and then the value is going to be a string. So these strings are going to be the ranks. So I'm going to create a rank for each element within this hash map. So I'm going to go something like this: HM ranks dot put 1 king, and so on. HM ranks dot put 2 queen. HM ranks dot put, let me just make some more space. Put 3 jack. HM ranks dot put 4 okay. T, this is going to be 10. HM ranks dot put 5 9. HM ranks dot put 6 8. Ranks dot put 7 7. HM ranks dot put 8 6, ranks dot put 9, ranks dot put 10, 4. I can just copy. Three, 2, 11, 12. All right, guys, so as you can see here, I've created a hash map with each one of the ranks, okay? And each one of the ranks are associated with a key. So the key 0 is associated with the rank of ace. The key 1 is associated with the rank of king. The key 2 is associated with the rank of queen, and so on. We got our queen, jack, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, and 2. All right, and this hash map is going to actually help us with the sorting. So I'm just going to continue. The next thing I'm going to do is actually create an array list. Array list that holds origin card. Hold on. Array list that holds origin cards initially passed in by the user. All right. So basically, we're just going to have ourselves an array list, and I'm going to name this array list origin card hand. All right. So basically, like I said before, this origin card hand array list is going to hold the original card hand. But what we need to do right after this is actually create ourselves. We're going to actually create ourselves a card object. So let's do that right now. So basically, this current input value is going to be able to keep track. Well, we're actually going to be using this to keep track of the current card within the original card hand, and you're going to see how we do this in the next set of code here. So the next thing that we're going to do, we need to go ahead and iterate through the input that is passed in from the user. So we're going to first start off with a for loop. For ni equals 0, I is lesser than this dot hand dot size. I plus plus. Then I'm just going to add a comment up here. iterate through the input passed in from the user. All right, so as you can see, we have the this.handSize, and we created a loop which is going to iterate through the array list of the cards that are passed in. So we're going to have those cards that are passed in right here, and we're going to iterate through them. First thing we want to do in this iteration is hold current card in the origin hand. All right, so let me just explain this. So you remember the current input value that we created up here. We're going to have that current input value, and that current input value is going to hold the current card in the origin hand. And we're just going to go current input value, and then we're going to set that equal to this dot hand dot get at position I. After we do that, we're going to create two other variables of type string. The string is going to be the face as well as the suit. This is something that we definitely need to keep track of when we're making our way through these iterations of the original card hand that is passed in. So I'm just going to go string face equals current input value dot face. And if you can remember, when we create this input value, we already know that it's a type card. And in the type card, you already know we have our data members here, the face as well as the suit. So we're going to be able to keep track of both of these. Then we're just going to do the same thing for suit. We then are going to create a card and then add it to the array list. That's the next thing that we're going to do. Create a card and add it to an array list. Card equals new card face and suit. And then we want to take that this origin card hand, and then we're going to add this card to this origin card hand here. Origin card hand dot add card. All right, so to just give a little bit of an overview, this should be pretty straightforward. So basically what we're doing, we're taking the cards that are passed in, and what we're doing, we're iterating through each of the cards that are passed in, okay? And what we're doing here is we're taking the current input value and we're assigning it this dot hand at position I. So this is now going to be stored in this current input value. So as soon as that's stored in here, what we're going to do, we're going to grab the face of the card as well as the suit of the card. After we do that, we're then going to create ourselves a card object and then add it to the origin card hand array list. So we're basically just taking whatever value is passed in from the user and just adding it to this origin card hand. That's basically what we're doing up to this point. And we're going to iterate through this until all the cards have been added to this origin card hand. The next thing that we need to do is hop out of this loop, and we then need to compare the origin cards passed in with the rank hash map that we created earlier. So basically these HM ranks hash map, we need to take the card hand and compare it with each one of these elements in this HM ranks map. Because since we're trying to go ahead and sort it, we need to find a way to compare whatever is in our hand with the order that these elements are in this HM rank map. So we're basically just going to be comparing based on the order these ranks with the ranks of the card hand that was passed in. All right, so in order to do that, we're going to have to first of all create this sorted hand array list. So you remember I created this sorted hand array up here as a data member. So this is where I'm actually going to instantiate this. Sorted card hand, we're going to say equals new array list. And then I'm just going to go for int I equals 0. I is lesser than HM ranks size I plus plus. And then we're just going to go for int j equals 0. J is lesser than origin card hand dot size j plus plus. All right, so as you can see, we're iterating through the HM ranks as well as the origin card hand. So eventually in this code, in these two loops inside of here, we're going to have to find a way to compare what's in the hand that we passed in and compare it against the HM ranks. And we're going to just go ahead and start doing that now. First of all, I'm just going to go string s equals HM ranks dot get at position I. And then I'm going to go char current rank equals s dot char at 0. And just give me a second. Just want to add some comments here. All right, so basically what's going on here is that we have our two loops here, and I've created myself a string, and this string is going to be set equal to the HM ranks.get at position I. So basically this variable here, this s, is going to hold this HM ranks.get at position I. So HM ranks.get at position I, let's just say we're at the first iteration, it's going to be this value here, which is going to be A. And it's going to continue that iteration. And what we're doing, we're just holding the value we're basically just holding the value or the rank of this hash map here. So first iteration is going to be A, second iteration K, next one Queen, next one Jack, and then so on. All right, what we need to do next is this. If origin card hand dot get position J dot face dot equals string dot value of current rank then sorted card hand dot add origin card hand dot get position J. All right, so let me zoom this in. All right, so basically what's happening here is that we are just using this if conditional statement to check if the origin card hand dot get position 0 dot face is equal to the current rank. So basically, we already know that this current rank is associated with the hash map, right? So this current rank here, we're going to take whatever the current rank is, just say A, okay? And what we're going to be doing is we're going to check if the origin card hand at the current position is equal to the current rank. And then if it is, what's going to happen is that we're going to add that to the sorted card hand. So basically what's happening is that we're going to, let me just do this. All right, so basically in the hash map here, we're going to first of all start off here at the first element. We're going to start off with A. Then next we're going to go to K, and then Q, and then J. So what's going to happen is that we're going to have our own set of cards in our hand. And what we're doing is we're basically ordering the cards in such a way so that it matches this HM ranks map. Now, keep in mind that this is simply just sorting the cards. So there may be a hand of cards that you have that may not actually have all of these ranks. Like it's probably not going to have exactly like ace, king, queen, jack, 10, 9. It probably won't have all of these, but if it does start off, let's just say we have a hand of cards and it starts off with an 8. So what's going to happen is that it's going to grab that 8, because if it doesn't have any of these, it just starts off with 8. It's going to then check the next card and then basically add these cards to the sorted hand based on this general HM ranks hash map that we've created. So hopefully this does make sense to you guys, but I'm just going to continue coding. If you have any questions, just leave them in the comments below. This may be a little bit confusing, but I just want to make sure you guys are kind of following along. All right, so after this, what I want to do is actually make my way out of this loop and then just go print out the sorted card hand. All right, and then we're going to return the sorted card hand. All right, so this is all the code that we really need. Yeah, this is pretty much all the code that we really need right now. We eventually are going to need another piece of code in here, and I'm just gonna add it down here. This can be commented out because there's going to be another method that I create for checking the descending incrementally, which is just going to be check All right, so the number one thing I want to do right now is actually just show you guys this in action. Just give me a second. All right, guys, so as you can see, we have a determine the hand object that we've created here. And what we are doing, we're passing in the cards that the user has entered. And then after that, we're calling a method, determine the hand, or dh.sortHand, which takes us directly to the method that we've just created right here. All right. So what we're going to do, we're basically just going to step through this code just like this. So we're going to enter in some cards, right? These cards are not going to be in sorted order. So let's just go 8 of hearts, 2 of spades, king of diamonds, queen, clubs, and we're just going to have something random like 7 of hearts. As you can see, we have 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We got 5 cards here, right? And in this determine the hand method, we're going to be executing this sort.hand. We've called this method sort.hand. All right, and what's supposed to happen is that when we run the application or press enter after this, it's supposed to give us a sorted card hand. So let's just go ahead and do it. All right, let's see. All right, so what's happening here is that we need a toString method in our card class. So let's just stop this for a minute. There needs to be a toString method. And this toString method is basically supposed to be right here. I'm just going to go override public string to string return space plus suit. All right, so let's see if we can try to do this again. Keep the same cards. So as you can see, it jumps straight down here, sorted card hand. That's what we have in our sorted card. So basically, as you can see, let me zoom this in. All right, guys, so as you can see, we have 8 of hearts, 2 of spades, king of diamonds, queen of clubs, 7 of hearts. So what's happening is that we're sorting the card hand from the highest rank to the lowest rank. King of diamonds, queen of clubs, 8 of hearts, 7 of hearts, 2 of spades. And these are ordered all based on ranking. And that's all for the sorted method. So we're pretty much done with this sorted hand method that we've created. All right, guys, so I'm going to continue with the helper methods. The next helper method is going to be the check descending incrementally method. And this method is going to be used to check if each card in the hand is descending incrementally. So I'm going to go ahead and move forward with the method header. Private Boolean check descending incrementally. And this method is actually going to take 2 parameters. One parameter is going to be an array list of type card. Sorted card hand. And then the other parameter is just going to be a hash map. Hash map, integer, string, HM ranks. All right, and this method is looking for a return statement. Set that for false for now. And what I want to do is also add some comments up here. So this method is a method that checks if each card in the hand is descending incrementally. Based on card rank. So I'm going to just explain this a little bit more again. So basically, this is an example of the card hand that will be descending incrementally. You guys a little example right here. So the example is going to look something like this. Let's just say Ace of Clubs, King of Hearts, Queen of Diamonds, Jack of Spades, and 10 of Hearts. So as you can see here in this particular card hand, you can see we have 5 cards, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And basically you can see that when you look at the first card, it's an ace. The second card is a king. So as you can see, there are no other cards that can go between an ace and a king when it comes to ranking these cards in order. So this is an example of a card hand descending incrementally, and that's what we will have to go about and check when this method is executed. So this is just an example of a card hand descending incrementally. And the reason I say descending incrementally is because it's going from the highest to the lowest. And this is an example of what it's not. So let's just say we have something like this. 10 of Hearts. There we go. 8 of Diamonds. 4 Clubs. 3 of Hearts. 2 of Hearts. All right, so as you can see here, this is an example of a card hand that is not descending incrementally. So you can see we have a 10, then we have an 8. We know if this was going to be descending incrementally, it would go 10 and then it would go 9. As you can see, in this particular hand, it does not have a 9. So it goes from 10 to 8. It skips that 9, and also from 8 to 4. So 8 to 4, we're going to have to go through 7, 6, 5 in order to get the 4. So as you can see, this is just not an example of a card hand descending incrementally. And basically, this is what this method is supposed to check for. It's going to return a Boolean, either true or false, to determine whether a set of cards that the user has passed in is descending incrementally. So I'm just going to remove this for now. And then we're just going to jump right into the code. So first thing that we're going to need to do is we're going to need a for loop. We're just going to go for int k equals 0. K is lesser than hm ranks.size k plus plus. All right. So inside of this for loop, what we're going to do, we're going to have ourselves an if condition. It's just going to go if string, we're just going to do it like this so it makes it easier to read. All right. String dot value of sorted card hand dot get at position 0 dot get face dot equals hm ranks dot get at k and string dot value of. I'm going to explain all this later. just going to go ahead and write the code for now. Sorted card hand dot get at position I dot get face dot equals HM ranks dot get K plus 1 and string dot value of sorted card and dot get at position 2 dot get face dot equals HM ranks dot get at position K plus 2 and string dot value of sorted card hand dot get at position 3 dot get face dot equals HM ranks dot get at K plus 3 and string dot value of sorted card hand dot get at position 4 dot get face dot equals HM ranks dot get at position K plus 4. All right. All right, let's just zoom this out for a bit. All right, so let's explain what's going on right here. So basically what we're doing, we have a loop here, and this loop is going to make its way through all of the HM ranks. So we know basically that HM ranks is going to be the ranks in this hash map here. All right, so as you can see, this hash map, it has a key value pair. Integer is the key, string is the value. You can see it has each one of the ranks. So what's going to happen is that we're going to compare the 5 cards against the order of this hash map here. So I did want to also point this out. Earlier I did comment this piece of code out, but this is the code that we're actually going to be using to check whether or not the sorted card hand is descending incrementally. So as you can see, we have a check descending incrementally. It's going to take in the sorted card hand, which is the hand entered in by the user in sorted order, and then we're going to have a HM ranks, which is going to be passed into here. So basically, down here, we're going to iterate through all of the ranks of the hash map, and then we're going to compare the cards against this hash map ranks hash map. Yeah, so basically that's what we're doing when we have this if conditional here. So for example, we have a sorted card hand in position 0. We're going to see if this is equal to any value in the HM ranks hash map. And then if it is, then it's going to also check the next card for the next rank in the hash map in that order. So hopefully this makes sense to you guys. Basically what's going on here is just comparing the sorted card hand against the HM ranks. And basically from here we're going to be able to determine if the sorted card hand is descending incrementally. So basically after we have this if statement here, we're just going to do this. System.out.println descending incrementally. All right, and then after that is descending incrementally equals true, and then break. And then after this, what we're going to do is we're ultimately going to return descending incrementally. Is descending incrementally. All right, so basically what's happening here is I have this method, and this method is going to have this if condition that is checking to determine if the cards are descending incrementally. If the cards are descending incrementally, we're going to simply just print out descending incrementally. It's just going to be printed out to the console. After that, we're also going to set this Boolean variable that we created from before. We're going to set that to true. And if it never makes its way to this code inside this if conditional, then we automatically know that the is descending incrementally is going to be set to false. So we can actually try this out right now. But before we try this out, let's uncomment this line here, check descending incrementally, so we can actually call this method. All right, so let's do this. I'm going to put a breakpoint here, and we can also put a breakpoint right here. Now, this is what we're going to do. We need to determine if the cards are descending incrementally. We can use our example right here. Enter in 5 cards. Zoom in. As you can see, we have an ace, king, queen, jack, and then a 10. So if you press enter, it allows us to debug through the code, and it jumps straight here. Okay, descending incrementally. So when we descend incrementally, we're just going to simply do this, and it's going to print it out, descending incrementally. And it's also going to set this value, which was initially false, is descending incrementally. This Boolean is going to set this to true. All right, so we can just go up, and now it's going to break out of that loop, because as soon as we know that it's descending incrementally, since all these have to be validated, it's going to break out of this loop because it's pretty much no longer needed. If all these conditions are met, we can break out of this loop. Then we have the value, which will be set to true. So this is descending incrementally. All right, so we can actually try this once more with a hand that is not descending incrementally. So we can do something like this. So run the application again, and we can do something like this. So we're going to change some stuff around now. So let's just say this is going to be, we're going to not descend incrementally now. So we're just going to go 10, 7, 3. Or we can just go 10, 7, 3, and then we're just going to say 2. All right, so as you can see, this is not descending incrementally. I have an ace, 10, 7, 3, and 2. All right, so let's go ahead and press enter. It's going to be set to false. The reason this is set to false is because none of these conditions are met. So this particular hand is not descending incrementally. So hopefully this makes sense to you guys. It's pretty straightforward, but this is the check descending incrementally helper method. All right, guys, so the next helper method is going to be the suit equal method. Now this is going to be a method that returns a Boolean, and it's going to determine if all cards in the hand have the same suit or not. So we're going to first of all start off with a comment. We're just going to go determines if all cards in hand have the same suit or not. All right, so the header is going to look something like this. Public static boolean suit equal. And then this method is going to take in only one parameter, which will be an array list of type card. I'm going to name it sorted card hand, this parameter. We know we also need to have a return statement there, but I'm just going to go with false for now. All right, so suit equal. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to go through all of the cards within the sorted card hand. So to do that, we just need to go for int I equals 0. I is lesser than sorted card hand dot size I plus plus. All right, so the next thing that we're going to do, we're going to have ourselves an if conditional statement. And the if statement is going to look something like this. If sorted card hand dot get at position 0 dot get suit dot equals sorted card hand dot get at position 1 dot get suit and then we're just going to go and all right, and then we're just going to go and. Then we're just going to go sorted card hand dot get at position 1 dot get suit dot equals sorted card hand dot get to dot get suit then we're just gonna add an and right here. And actually, I just want to make sure that these parentheses kind of line up. All right. All right, so we have this conditional here, and sorted card hand all right, sorted card hand dot get at position 2 dot equals, I get suit actually, equals sorted card hand dot get at position 3 get suit actually I think we can remove these. All right, and sorted card hand dot get position 3 dot get suit dot equals sorted card hand dot get 4 dot get suit, and I'll explain all this in a minute. All right, so let's just go over this really quick. So we have our suit equals method, and we know it's going to take in a sorted card hand. And basically what we're doing is we're going to iterate through this entire sorted card hand that we have. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to have the sorted card hand, and this if conditional, we're going to check for this condition. If the sorted card hand at position 0 dot suit equals the sorted card hand at position 1. So it's basically checking the next card in the hand rank. So from left to right, we're going to first start off at the first card, and we're going to check the suit of that card. And then we're going to go to the second card and compare it against the first card. We then are going to take the second card and compare it against the third card. And then we're going to take the third card, compare it against the fourth card, and then the fourth card and compare it against the fifth card. So we're basically just checking to ensure or just make sure that the suits are equal. So this is pretty much what we're doing with this particular method. We're going to return a Boolean. So here we just need to go, we could actually print out all suits are equal, and then at the end we can just go return true, and then you can just return false here in the return statement. So this is pretty straightforward. What's happening here is that we're basically just comparing the current card with the next card in the card hand. So this should be pretty straightforward. I'm wondering, do I even need these extra lines here? Okay, yeah, I think we do need these. All right, so we're good. Just save. And what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to try this out. And it's going to either return true or false. What we're going to be doing, we're going to just check and see if the suit is equal. So we can go back here, and we have the sort hand. We can also check and see if the suits are equal. So for right now, we're going to comment out the sort hand method, and then we're just going to try this out. dh dot see. Well, actually, we can do this. We can do the sort hand method here, and in this sort hand method, we can check and see if the suits are equal. But ultimately, this suit equal is going to actually be used in in the methods that are supposed to determine the hand ranking. But just for testing this out, we're just going to go up to our sort method, and right here, we're just going to go suit equal sorted card hand. All right. So basically, after this hand is sorted, we're going to pass it to the suit equal method, and now we're just going to determine if all the suits in the current hand are equal or not. All right. So I'm not going to check the descending right now since we already did that. And we're just going to execute this method here. So run the app, and then just go, for example, let's just go king, heart, queen, heart, jack, heart, 10, heart, 9, heart. All right, so just zoom this in. So as you can see, we have 5 cards, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we see that each one of the suits are hearts. So eventually, we're going to hit this method. So let's go ahead and press enter. All right, so all suits are equal. So basically what happened is that you have this if conditional statement. All of this is going to be checked. It returned true, basically meaning that all suits are equal. Now we can try this out again. With suits that are not equal. So it's honest, it's basically going to return false on this test here. So I'm going to just run this and just go king of hearts, queen of diamonds, jack of hearts, 10 of hearts, 9 spades. So as you can see here, all the suits are not equal. All right, so I'm just going to press enter. And it's going to jump to this suit equal method. I'm going to go into it. It's going to return false. And it's not going to print out anything because I don't have any system.out to print if the suits are not equal. So this is pretty much it. As far as the suit equal method, this is the method. Hopefully you guys understand. And as I said, if you have any questions, go ahead and just leave them in the comments below. All right, guys, so the next method that we're going to jump into is going to be called the check all ranks method. And ultimately, this method will take a pass-in hand and run it through all rank methods to determine the type of hand that is passed in. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to write a comment first. Method that will take the passed-in hand and run it through all rank methods to determine the type of hand passed in. All right. Give me a second. All right. All right, so let's just get started. We're just going to implement the method now. Public void check all ranks. And let's see. All right, there we go. Just wanted to zoom that in for you guys. All right, so let's check all ranks. And what we're going to do, we're going to create these methods that don't exist yet, but we're eventually going to implement these methods. So the first method is going to be check royal flush. This dot sorted card hand. Check straight flush. This dot sorted card hand. Check 4 of a kind. This dot sorted card hand. Check full house. And we're going to pass in the this dot sorted card hand. And then we're just going to go check flush. This dot sorted card hand. Check straight. And then check 3 of a kind. This dot sorted card hand. And then check 2 pair. This dot sorted card hand. And then check high card. This dot sorted card hand. All right. So as you can see, I've created calls to each one of these methods. What I'm going to do is comment out all of the methods except the royal flush method. One second. All right, so what we have now, we have the check royal flush method that we have here. So what we're going to do with this check all ranks method, what's going to happen is that when we call this check all ranks method, what's going to happen is that it's going to execute this check royal flush method. Ultimately, it's going to execute all of these methods, but for right now, we're just going to have this check royal flush method uncommented for now. All right, so what's going to happen is that usually when you execute this check all ranks method, it's supposed to execute all these methods. But yeah, we're just going to focus on check royal flush. So let's just implement that right now, the royal flush method. And zoom this in for you guys once more. And we're going to write a comment here. All 5 cards are ace, king, queen, jack, 10, and all same suit. All right. So this is what this particular method is supposed to check. So what I want to do is this. I can create this, create method, royal flush. And actually we can remove this and just put it here. All right. Okay, so it's pretty straightforward what this method is supposed to do. It's supposed to check a royal flush. So what we're going to do is we're going to pass in a sorted card hand. All right, so yeah, we're going to pass in a sorted card hand. And this method is ultimately going to return a Boolean, actually. Which will be is royal flush. Okay. So now we need to just go ahead and just start implementing the method. All right, so we're just going to start off with an if conditional statement. And this if conditional statement is going to first determine if all of the suits in the current hand are the same. And we can just simply do that by going if suit equals sorted card hand, and then if this is true, then this means that all of the suits are equal. And you're just going to go sorted card hand dot get at position 0 dot get face dot equals A. We're going to go and sorted card hand dot get at position 1 dot get face dot equals K. And sorted card hand dot get position 2 dot get face dot equals Q. And sorted card hand dot get at position 3 dot get face dot equals T. And last but not least, sorted card hand dot get position 4 dot get face dot equals T. And this is actually supposed to be J right here. Made a mistake. All right. So as you guys can see, this method is pretty straightforward so far. Right now, we just have an if conditional statement. It's going to check and see whether or not the sorted card hand all have the same suit. And then it's also going to check each position of the sorted card hand for these particular values: the ace, king, queen, jack, and the 10. If the sorted card hand has all of these rankings in this order, then it is a royal flush. So we're just going to go is royal flush equals true. Pretty simple. Else is royal flush equals false. And ultimately, we're just going to return the royal flush. All right, so what we can do now is zoom this out, save. And what we're going to do now is simply just run the application. All right, so this application we have here, let me just close this. All right, so what we're going to do, we're just going to run the application now. So we have this check all ranks method, and then we want to go back in our app.java class. So in our app.java class, we need to uncomment this. So it's going to go something like this. So what's going to happen is that we're going to call this method check all ranks. We already have a method up here for sorting the cards that we pass in, but now with this determine the hand object, we're going to check all the ranks based on the card that is passed in. All right, so it's just going to save, and then we're going to simply run the application. I'm going to enter in 5 cards, which are pretty much just going to be ace, hearts. Try to zoom this in. All right, ace of hearts. We're going to go king of hearts, queen of hearts, jack of hearts, 10 of hearts. All right. All right, so what we're going to do now, press enter. And what we have here is the hand that we passed in, and then it's going to sort the hand. It was already in sorted order. What's happening here is that we know that this hand that is passed in is descending incrementally and all suits are equal. So what we need to do just to determine if this is a royal flush or not is this. All right, we need to go back to our determine the hand method, and we need to say if it is true, then we want to print something out. All right, so we can just simply go .println, then we can just go you have a royal flush. So we can just go something like you have a royal flush. All right, you can just go to save. And as you see here, we really don't need any of these other lines printed out. So maybe we can go ahead and remove these as well. Descending incrementally, all suits are equal. We really don't need that. All suits are equal. Descending incrementally. And then we can just simply run the application again. All right, just zoom this in and just go. We're basically just going to go ace, hearts, king of hearts, queen of hearts, jack of hearts, 10 of hearts. Press enter. You have a royal flush. And we can also test this out with if these cards were not in sorted order. So instead of putting these in sorted order, we can actually run this application one more time in unsorted order. So we can go something like ace of hearts, and then queen of hearts, jack hearts, 10. No, let's go K hearts and 10 of hearts. It's still going to give us a royal flush because what's going to happen once we press enter, we still have a royal flush. This is the value that we entered. This is the card hand after it's sorted, and then you have a royal flush. We can also try this out one more time and enter in a set of cards that are not equal to a royal flush. So we can do something like this. Ace, hearts, king of diamonds, queen, spades, 5 hearts, jack of clubs. Press enter. It doesn't print out that it's a royal flush because it definitely is not a royal flush. It puts these cards in sorted order, but it's not a royal flush, so nothing's showing up here. So that is the royal flush method. All right, guys, so the next method we're going to implement is the straight flush method. And this is basically going to be a method where any 5 cards of sequential rank are all going to have the same suit. So I'm going to go ahead and just start implementing this now. Zoom this in for you guys. First of all, I'm just going to add a comment so we know exactly what the method is going to be doing. Determine if the card hand consists of any 5 cards. You know, let's just do it like this. Make it simpler. Any 5 cards of sequential rank and all have the same suit. So ultimately, this is what this method is going to determine. So I'm going to go ahead and go back up here and uncomment, check straight flush, and then we're going to go ahead and just implement this method. We can just move this. All right, and then we're just going to put it down here. This is also going to return a Boolean. We're just going to go return is straight flush. All right, so the straight flush is going to be somewhat similar to our royal flush method, but what we're doing here is we just have to make sure that the card hand passed in is going to be 5 cards, and it can be any 5 cards, but they have to be of sequential rank, and they all have to have the same suit. So to determine that, we would first need to create ourselves an if conditional statement. We just want to go if suit equal sorted card hand equals true, and is descending incrementally equals true, then we're going to return is straight flush. No, actually, we're just going to go, not return, but actually is straight flush equals true. That's what I meant to type. Is straight flush equals true, and then else is straight flush equals false. All right, so this method is pretty straightforward. So let me just go through this if conditional statement to make sure you guys understand. So what we have here is an if conditional statement. We're first checking if the suits are all equal. As we know, just like I said before, straight flush is when there are any 5 cards and they have to be in sequential rank and they have to all have the same suit. So right here, we're checking if all the cards have the same suit, and then we're also checking are the 5 cards are descending incrementally. So ultimately, we're just checking these 2 conditions, which satisfies exactly what a straight flush is. All right, and this is pretty much it. And what I'm doing in this if conditional statement, if it does satisfy these 2 conditions, then it is a straight flush. If it doesn't satisfy those 2 conditions, then straight flush will be set to false. And then we're simply just going to return is straight flush. All right, and what I want to do also is just have like a little example here of what a straight flush is. spades, 7 spades, 5 spades, 4 spades, 6 spades. Okay. So we have 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. Any 5 cards of sequential rank, which these cards have sequential rank and all the suits are the same. So what we're going to do, we can actually test this out when we run the application. All right. So let me zoom this out for a minute. I'm going to go back to my app.java. As we know, the check all ranks method is going to be executed. And this is the method that's going to be executed. It's going to first take the sorted hand passed in, and then it's going to pass into the royal flush method. Okay, it's going to check if it's a royal flush, and then it's also going to check if the sorted card hand is a straight flush. All right, so let's just go ahead and run the application. Enter in my cards. We have 8 of spades, 7 of spades, 6 of spades, 5 of spades, and 4 of spades. And then from here, just want to press enter. And one thing that we forgot is to actually print this out. So let's just go ahead and print it out. Just going to use the same print method from here. You have a straight flush. All right. Run the application once more. Put our input in. And from here, we just press enter. You have a straight flush. So as you can see, we've entered in our card hand. It's obviously going to sort the card hand, which is already sorted. And then it's just going to print out you have a straight flush. And this is pretty much it. You can enter in these cards in any order, but you have to make sure that all the cards in your hand have a sequential ranking, no matter what order I initially place these cards in. And yeah, this is pretty much it. So this is the implementation of the straight flush method. All right, guys, so the next method is going to be the check 4 of a kind method. So what we're going to do first is go up to this check all ranks method, and then we're just going to simply uncomment this 4 of a kind method. And then from there, we're just going to add this implementation, copy. We can just cut, actually. And then scroll down, and then right below check straight flush, we would just simply paste that method header. This method is going to return a Boolean, and I'm actually going to zoom this in for you guys right now. All right, so we have our method header for check 4 of a kind, and for now we're just going to go return false, so that we can just satisfy this return value. Now, the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to write a description of what this method is going to do. So as you guys know, when it comes to the 4 of a kind method, it's basically going to be a method that determines if the hand contains 4 cards of one rank and 1 card of another rank. So let's just add a description here. 4 cards of one rank and 1 card of another rank. So this is pretty much what this method is supposed to do. We got the check 4 of a kind, and it's pretty much supposed to be checking for this condition. If this condition is not met, then it's not a 4 of a kind. All right, so what we're also going to do is add a combination here that we're going to check. Combination to check. Then we're just going to go King of Hearts, Jack, Spades, Jack Hearts, Jack Diamonds, Jack Clubs. Then we can just add another combination as well. Combination to check 2. You can just line these up. Alright, so for the second one, we're just going to go King of Hearts, King of Spades, King of Diamonds, King, Spades, Jack of Hearts. Alright, so what we can do is check both of these combinations in this method that we're about to create, this check 4 of a kind method. Alright, so the first thing we need to do in this check 4 of a kind method is we need to create ourselves a variable, and this variable is going to be called rank to check. And this variable will hold the value of the current card, which will be compared against the value of the next card. So let's first of all just write a comment here. Actually, let's just do it like this. A variable that will hold value of current card, which will be compared against the next card. Alright, so we just want to go string rank to check equals sorted card hand dot get at position 0 dot face. And then we just want to go int counter equals 0. And pretty much this counter is ultimately going to be used to count the number of similar cards in a hand, or the cards that have the same rank in the hand. That's pretty much what the counter is going to be used for. And you'll understand a little bit more about this later. Alright, so after this, we want to then create ourselves a loop for, basically going to be a for loop to iterate through the sorted card hand. So I just want to go for int I equals 0. I is lesser or equal to sorted card hand dot size minus 1 I plus plus. Okay, open up these curly braces, and I'm going to just add some more space here. Okay, so inside of this for loop, what we're going to have is a conditional statement, which is actually going to break out of the loop if the current position that we're iterating through is I plus 1. So basically we're going to check if the position number at I plus 1 equals 5, then we're going to break out of this loop. And there's a reason that we're going to do that. We just don't want the iteration to go over the we don't want this for loop to continue the iteration past a certain number. So, but I'm going to break this down. It's going to make a whole lot more sense once I start writing the code. All right. So the next thing I'm going to do, as I said, I'm just going to write a conditional statement that will break out of the loop if current position plus 1 equals 5. If I plus 1 equals 5, you can just break. Could actually just keep this as one line if we just want to save some space. All right, so the next thing that we're going to do is that we're going to have a variable that is going to store the next card rank in the hand. So we're going to have another variable just similar to the one up top, which is your check, the rank to check. We're going to have another one called the next rank to check. So we're going to start implementing that now. I'm just going to go string next rank to check equals sorted card hand dot get I plus 1 dot face. All right, so hopefully this makes sense to you guys. We basically just have a string here. I named it next rank to check, and we set the value of it to the sorted card hand I get at position I plus 1. So what's going to happen is that this next rank to check is going to check the next card in the hand based on the current card that it's on. So whatever card that we're on within this iteration, this next card is going to be the current card, and then just add it 1. Then it's going to pull us back to the face of that card. Okay, next thing we're going to do is add a if conditional statement. If rank to check dot equals next rank to check, then I want to do something. All right, so I can explain this a bit. So what's happening here is that we have the rank to check, which we already label as the first card within the card hand. So for example, let's just say we take this first combination. So what's going to happen is that the rank to check is going to be compared against the next card in the hand. And then what we're going to be doing is checking for equality. If the two values are not equal, then we're going to do something else. And I'm going to get to that soon. But if they are equal, then we're going to implement this code that I'm about to write for you guys right now. So we're just going to go rank to check. It's going to be equal to next rank to check. And then from there, I'm just going to go counter plus equals 1. All right, so what's happening here is that I have this implementation that I've added to this if conditional statement. And what I'm basically saying is that if the rank to check equals the next rank to check, then I want to set the new current card to the next card. So that's what I'm going to be doing upon each iteration if this condition is satisfied. So it's going to first compare, for example, the king to the jack, okay? Upon the next iteration, well, before it even makes it to the next iteration, we need to determine if these are equal or not. So for example, let's just take this combination to check 2. So upon the first iteration, we're going to take the rank to check, and that's going to be set to this. And then we're going to take the next rank to check, which is going to be king of spades, this, right? So what's going to happen is that before that iteration, before that next iteration, what's going to happen is that we're going to set the current value to this value now. And then what's going to happen is that we're going to compare this value to the next one, and so on until until we fully iterate through the loop. All right. So hopefully that makes sense to you guys. And also we just have a counter. This is just going to count the number of equal cards that we have. But it's pretty much just going to go something like this. We're going to compare these two cards. If they're equal, then we're going to increase the counter. And if these two are equal, we're going to increment that counter to 1. And then we're going to check this. If these two are equal, then we're going to increment the counter to 3. And that information is going to be really, really helpful. Okay, so right after this if conditional statement, what we want to do next is just add another if condition. If counter equals 3, then we want to go is 4 of a kind equals true. And then we're just going to go sys out .println 4 of a kind. Break. So as soon as we know that it's 4 of a kind, we're going to break out of this loop. And this if conditional, it's pretty straightforward. If the counter is equal to 3, we're going to set the Boolean value of is 4 of a kind to true. And then after that, we're going to simply just print it out. And then right after we print it out, we're then going to break out of this loop because you're pretty much done. You don't need to do any more iterations of anything. As soon as you know that the counter is 3, then 4 of a kind is going to be equal true. And then we're just going to simply break out of this loop. Okay, so that's not all. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to have this if conditional statement here. And actually, this needs to go in here. Yeah, that needs to go right there. All right. And the reason this needs to go here is because if the rank to check is equal to the next rank to check, then I want to check all of this. If it's equal, then I'm going to set the current card to the next card. We also are going to increment the counter. After that, we're then going to check if the counter equals 3. If it is 3, then we're going to print out 4 of a kind. Okay, so right after this if conditional here, we're just going to go else. And then we're going to write this. Rank to check equals sorted card hand dot get I plus 1 face and then counter equals 0. All right, so hopefully this makes sense to you guys. So what's happening here is that if we get to a point where the current card is not equal to the next card, we're then going to jump down to this else clause. And in this else clause, what we're doing, we're just setting the rank to check equal to the next card. And then we're going to set the counter down to 0, because if the two cards are not equal, then we're going to automatically set that counter to 0. If the two cards are equal, what's going to happen is that it's just going to make its way through this if conditional statement multiple times to determine whether or not if the counter is 3. If the counter is 3, then it's a 4 of a kind. But let's just say we're going through the loop and we realize that rank to check is not equal to the next rank to check. So what's going to happen is that we're going to pop down into this else clause, and then we're just going to go rank to check equals sorted card hand dot get at position I plus 1 dot face. And the reason I'm doing that is because if these are not equal, then this is never going to set. So if these are not equal, this is never going to be set to the next card in the hand. So if we were to have a card hand, like for example, the one that I was talking about up here, like king and jack here, if it's not equal, what's going to happen is that we're going to make our way down to this else clause, and then we're just going to go rank to check equals the next card in the hand. So if it's not equal, then the current card is now going to be jack. And then up on the next iteration, we're going to compare the jack to this jack, and then this one to this one, and then so on. And then eventually, if we hit 3, then it's a 4 of a kind. All right, so just going to go is 4 of a kind. That's what I'm going to return. Okay, so this method is pretty straightforward. Hopefully you guys understand it. As always, if you have any comments, just leave them down below. But let me zoom this out, and let's go ahead and try it out. All right, so we can first of all try it out with this example, the king, jack, 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 jack. I'm going to save it. I'm going to run the application. Paste. And then we can zoom in, and we can see what we're going to get. So we have the king, we have the jack, 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 and the jack. So we're going to press enter, and then we're going to just see what is going to be returned. Okay, so we got 4 of a kind returned. Okay, so the reason we got that is because the counter was 3. And then from there, we pretty much just set our Boolean here. And then from there, we just set the system.out.println. That's going to print out 4 of a kind. And we can also try this with the other example that I have up here. King, 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 jack. Zoom this in. We're just going to press enter. 4 of a kind. So as you can see, 4 cards of one rank and then 1 card of another rank. And that's pretty much it. Alright guys, so what I'm going to do next is jump right into the next method. This is going to be the check full house method. So before I start implementing this method, I'm going to just go right up top to this check all ranks method, and then I'm just going to uncomment this line of code right here, this check full house. And I'm going to implement this method, copy it, I'm going to cut it. Then what I'm going to do is place it right below this 4 of a kind method. So just going to do something like this. And I'm also going to switch this return type to Boolean. And after that, I'm just going to add a return statement. So I'm going to return null for right now. We're going to change this later. And what we want to do is go up top right here and just simply add a comment just explaining exactly what this method is going to do. And this method is basically going to determine if the hand that's passed in contains 3 cards of one rank and 2 cards of another rank, because that's ultimately what the full house ranking hand is. So I'm just going to go a hand that contains 3 cards of one rank and 2 cards of another rank. All right. And also I want to add just an example of what this hand is supposed to look like. And I can also zoom this in for you guys. All right. So what we're going to be doing is just adding combination to check. We can just go 10 of hearts, 10 of diamonds, 9 of spades, and 9 of spades. And this, we can also go 10 of spades right here, 10 of spades. So we're going to have the 10 of hearts, 10 of diamonds, 10 of spades, and then the 9 of spades, and then the 9 of spades. So as you see, we have 5 cards, 3 cards are of one rank, and then the other 2 are of another rank. And it pretty much satisfies this description that we have here. Basically a hand that contains 3 cards of one rank and 2 cards of another rank. Alright, so let's jump right into the code. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do, we're going to add ourselves a comment. And what we're going to do is we're going to create a variable. And this variable is going to be called rank 1. All right, so let's just go ahead and add a comment first. I'm just going to go grab the rank of the first card in hand. First card in hand. All right, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to create myself a string rank 1, and then set this equal to sorted card hand dot get at position 0 dot face. So this is pretty straightforward. I just have a variable here, and this variable is being set to the sorted card hand dot get at position 0 dot face. So basically, whatever hand is passing here, I'm just grabbing the first card. All right. So the next line, we're going to add an int sum rank 1. Set that, and then from there, we're just going to go keep track of the rank total. So basically, this is just going to keep a count of the rank that is grabbed from this sorted card hand. So basically, we're eventually going to use the sum rank to total up the number of ranks within this hand. So let's just say we have 3 10s and 2 9s. So what's going to happen is going to start here at position 0, and then eventually we're going to use this sum rank to calculate the number of 10s in this hand, for example. All right, so after this, what we are going to do is do the same thing for the last card. So I just want to go grab the rank of the last card in hand. Then I just want to go string rank 2, set that equal to sorted card hand dot get at position sorted card hand dot size -1 dot face. All right, so this line is pretty straightforward. We basically just have a rank 2 variable of type string, and what's going to happen is that within this sorted card hand, we're going to have a first card, then we're going to have a last card. And what's going to happen is that this rank 2 is going to be set to the last card. And then we just do the same thing, int sum rank 2. And it's pretty much the same as this. It's going to keep track of the rank. So it's pretty straightforward. Just going to keep track of the rank of this card, which is pretty much the last card in the hand. So it's pretty straightforward. All right. Next thing that we're going to do is we're going to create ourselves a for loop. And this for loop is going to count cards similar to the first and last card. All right, let me just scroll this down a bit. Then I want to go for int I equals 1. I is lesser than sorted card hand dot size -1. Then I just want to go I plus plus. All right, so as you can see, we have our for loop here, and we're going to use this for loop to iterate and also count the number of ranks based on a card hand that is passed in. So the first thing that we want to do in this for loop is add ourselves an if conditional statement. We just want to go if sorted card hand dot get at position I dot face dot equals rank position 1. Then I want to go sum rank plus plus. And I'm trying to see why we're getting this initialized. Yeah, we have to actually, we have to initialize it. All right, so we just set this sum rank 1 equals to 0. Well, actually, this is actually going to be 1. And then the sum rank 2, set this equal to 1. All right, so I'm gonna do the same thing for sum rank 2. So basically what we have here, to just explain it, what I'm doing here is I'm grabbing the sorted card hand at position I, which is the current iteration in this loop, and then I'm checking the face to see if it's equal to rank 1. Okay, if it is, then I'm going to increment by 1. And this is going to continue for every equal card in the hand that is equal to rank 1. All right. Then I'm going to add myself another if conditional statement. And actually, to make this shorter, I could just copy this and then paste it right below here. And then I would ultimately just change this to rank 2. So it'll be pretty much doing the same thing, but just for the last card in the hand. Okay. If you have any questions about this, go ahead and just leave it in the comments below if you guys are confused about anything. All right, so the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to check the full house. I'm just going to go check full house. So to check it, I'm going to need another if conditional statement. Now this if conditional statement is going to go if, then I'm going to have another parentheses inside of that, sorted card hand dot get at position I well, actually, hold on. No, we're not going to need this. We're going to need, not sorted card hand, we're actually going to need a sum rank 1. And we're going to check if that's going to be equal to 3. Sum rank 1 equals 3. And sum rank 2 equals 2. And then we're just going to have or. Then we're going to do the same thing, and to just save some time, we could actually copy this. And I'm going to explain all this in a minute. Two and then 3. So let me just write out the remaining code and then I'll explain everything to you guys. All right, so inside of this if conditional statement, I'm going to go if full, no, I'm going to go is full house equals true. And then I'm just going to go sys out full house. Else is full house equals false. And then ultimately return is full house. All right, so let's explain what's going on here. All right, guys, so as you can see, we have an if conditional statement here. And this if conditional statement is saying if the sum rank 1 is equal to 3 and the sum rank 2 is equal to 2. So let's just focus on this right now. So what's happening here is I'm checking to see if the count of sum rank 1 is equal to 3. So in this sum rank 1, as you see here, I'm incrementing by 1. And what's happening is this if conditional statement is going to check to see if the card in the first position is equal to any other cards within this sorted card hand. So, for example, in the first iteration, we're just going to go the 10 of hearts. We're going to have the 10, and then the second iteration, we're going to have another 10, and then another iteration, we're going to have another 10. So what I'm doing down here is I'm checking if the sum rank will equal 3. So ultimately, in this case, the sum rank 1 will equal 3 because we have the 3 T's here. And then we're also checking for the sum rank 2. So sum rank 2 is going to be 9. The reason it's going to be 9 is because we're starting from the end. Sorted card hand.get at position, sorted card hand.size -1. And then what we're going to do is we're going to compare this against every iteration of this loop as it makes its way through this entire sorted card hand. So we're checking for either if the sum rank 1 is equal to 3 and sum rank 2 is equal to 2, or if the sum rank 1 is equal to 2 and the sum rank 2 is equal to 3. So what happens is when we check for both of these combinations, it's going to determine whether or not we have a royal flush. Because, as we said, a royal flush is a hand that contains 3 cards of one rank and 2 cards of another rank. So hopefully this makes sense to you guys. Also, inside of this if condition statement here, I have is full house equals true. So ultimately, if either of these two conditions are satisfied, then is full house will be set to true. And then also we're just going to simply print out full house. Else, if these conditions are not true, we're going to go is full house equals false. And then ultimately this method is going to return full house. But when we run the application, it's either going to print full house out or not. And that's going to determine whether or not this hand that we pass into this method is a ranking of full house or not. All right, so that's pretty much it. And as I said, if you have any questions, always just leave them in the comments below. So let me zoom this out for you guys. All right, and we're going to take our little example right here, the 10, 10, 10, 9, and 9 hand. So we're going to go to copy. We're going to run. Then I can zoom this in. I'm going to simply paste our hand right here. Then after that, I'm just going to press enter. All right, so as you can see, we have full house returned. And this is pretty much what this method does. It determines if the sorted card hand passed in is a full house or not. All right, guys, so what we're going to be doing here is implementing the check flush and the check straight method. So I'm going to dive right into it. First of all, I'm going to implement the check flush method. So before we do anything, we need to scroll all the way up to check flush. And then pretty much create the method, cut it, Then scroll all the way down, right under the full house method, paste it, Boolean, and from there, just need to add a return type, return null for now. All right, and what we're going to do is just add a comment, so we'll explain exactly what this method does. And pretty much this method is supposed to take in a sorted card hand, and it's supposed to determine if this card hand is a flush. And we know a flush is any 5 cards with the same suit and no sequential rank. So let me just write that out. Any 5 cards with same suit and no sequential rank. Then we're just going to have our combination to check. This is ultimately just an example, which is going to go 4 spades, jack of spades, 8 spades, 2 spades, 9 spades. All right, so as you can see, this hand right here is 5 cards with the same suit, but it has no sequential rank. So ultimately, it is not descending incrementally. There's no sequential rank at all. All right, so let me zoom this in for you guys, and then we're going to start the implementation. All right, so the first thing that we need to do is simply just create a if conditional statement. This implementation should be fairly simple. We just want to go if suit equals, then sorted card hand, and is descending incrementally equals false. Then we want to do something. You just want to go is flush equals true, flush, else is flush equals false. And then ultimately just return is flush. All right, so this is pretty straightforward, and this is pretty much it. So to just go over this implementation really quickly, I have a check flush method. It's going to take in a sorted card hand, and I'm just checking to see if the suits are equal. So in this hand, it's going to check if all the suits in this hand are equal. Okay, if they are equal, then we're also going to check and see if this hand is descending incrementally. All right, so we already have a method for descending incrementally already up top. But if this is going to be, if this is equal to false, then we can continue and make our way inside of this if conditional statement. So once these two are satisfied, we're going to go is flush equals true, and then system.out.println flush. And if these conditions are not met, then we're going to set is flush to false. But ultimately, we're going to return is flush, which is going to give us a true or false. But this is pretty much it as far as this method, the check flush method. Let me zoom this out, and we can actually test this out. We have 5 cards here. Got the 4 of spades, jack of spades, 8 of spades, 2 of spades, and 9 of spades. So just going to copy and then run the application. We're going to save first, run the application, and then paste. We can zoom this in, and then from here we can just press enter, and we're getting flush return. Pretty much it just returns the card hand in sorted order to the best as it can, since it's not descending incrementally, and it pretty much just prints out flush. So this method seems to be working properly. Let's zoom out, and after this we're also going to go ahead and implement the check straight method. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to scroll up to the check all ranks method, and then I'm going to uncomment this check straight. Then I'm going to go ahead and create the method, copy it, I'm going to cut, I'm going to scroll down, all the way down, and right under the check flush method, I'm going to paste this method, Boolean, and then from here, I can just return null. For now, we're going to change that later. And from there, let me just zoom this in. You can dive right into it. So this check straight method is going to be something like this. All right, so a straight is any 5 cards of sequential rank, but the hand does not have the same suit. So any 5 cards of sequential rank and not with the same suit. So let's just type that out. Any 5 cards of sequential rank and not with same suit. Combination to check. Combination to check is going to be this combination. 9 club, 8 diamonds, 7 spades, 6 diamonds, 5 hearts. All right, so that's our combination that we're going to be checking. So we're just going to dive right into the implementation. This should be another fairly short one. We're just going to go if not suit equals sorted card hand and is descending incrementally equals true, then we want to do something. We just want to go is straight equals true, then system.out .println straight. Then from here, else is straight equals false. Then right after that, we're just gonna go return is straight. Okay. You can remove this. And this is pretty much it. Let me just explain what's going on. It's pretty straightforward, but I'll just go ahead and explain it for you guys. So what we have here, we have an if conditional statement, and we're checking if the suit is not equal. So we're checking the sorted card hand, and we want it to satisfy this condition, the not equal condition. So if the suit of the sorted card hands, if all the sorted card hands contain suits that are not equal, then what's going to happen is that this condition is going to be satisfied. And we're also checking if is descending incrementally equals true. So basically, it is true because it satisfies this check straight condition. And we know check straight means any 5 cards of sequential rank and not with the same suit. So they don't have the same suit, but they have a sequential rank. So this satisfies this check straight method. All right, so let's just copy this. And then what we're going to do, we're going to zoom out just for a quick second. We're going to save, and then we're going to run the application. And from here, we're just going to paste, zoom in, press enter. We have a straight. So this is pretty much it for the straight method. It's pretty straightforward, and it satisfies this condition, any 5 cards of sequential rank and not the same suit. Alright guys, so there you have it. We have implemented the check flush method as well as the check straight method. Alright guys, so the next thing we're going to do is jump right into the 3 of a kind method. So what we're going to do is, first of all, scroll up to check all ranks. And as you can see, I have this method. I'm going to uncomment check 3 of a kind. I also want to let you guys know this. I added this here, this check pair method. I realized that it was not a method that was added. So I just added it here, this check pair method. But we're going to first of all start off with the check 3 of a kind. So we're going to go ahead and create this method. We know this method is going to return a Boolean, and I just want to cut this and then scroll all the way down right below straight method, or the check straight method, and just paste it right here. Alright, we're going to move this little to-do auto-generated stub, and what we're going to do is just start implementing the method now. So the first thing that we need to do is write ourselves a comment. And we know what a 3 of a kind is based on the presentation that I showed you guys earlier. So basically a 3 of a kind is a hand that contains 3 cards of 1 rank and 2 cards and 2 non-paired cards. So let's just write that out. A hand that contains 3 cards of 1 rank and 2 non-paired cards. Do we know we're just going to return null for now? And also in this comment up here, I just want to go combination to check. I'm just going to go jack of clubs, jack of clubs, jack of clubs, 4 of hearts, and 2 of spades. Or we can also check this, queen of clubs, jack of clubs, 2 of clubs, 2 of hearts, 2 of spades. Okay, so these are the combinations that we're going to be checking. Next, I'm going to zoom this in real quick for you guys. Alright, so now we're going to start with the implementation of this method. So the first thing that we need to do is create ourselves a counter. We're just going to go int counter equals 0. And ultimately this counter is going to be keeping track of the number of cards within the hand, of the number of similar of the same card in the hand. So, and this counter is going to make sense later. So let me just start off with this. We're going to then create ourselves a for loop. I'm just going to go for int I equals 0. I is lesser than or equal to sorted card hand dot size -1 I plus plus. Then I'm going to have another loop in here for int I int j equals 0. J is lesser than or equal to sorted card hand dot size -1 j plus plus. All right, so as you can see here, we have 2 for loops. We have a for loop here for the sorted card hand, which is using I, and then we have another loop down here, which is using J. So we're going to be iterating through the list twice. And when we iterate through this list, we want to first of all check and see if I is not equal to j. And basically what this means is that we want to make sure that before we do anything, we need to ensure that the position of I is not going to be equal to j. And then from here, we're going to check and see if the sorted card hand that get at position I dot face is equal to sorted card hand that get at position J dot face. So basically what we're doing here is we're counting the number of cards in the hand, in the sorted hand that is passed in. And once we get a count of this, we're going to determine whether or not this hand is going to be 3 of a kind or not. So let me just go ahead and implement this. I'm just going to go if sorted card hand dot get at position I dot face equals sorted card hand dot get at position J dot face. Then what I want to do is counter plus plus, add 1 to the counter. All right, so basically this is what's going on. We have a sorted card hand that is passed in. We are then iterating through the sorted card hand twice. We then are wanting to make sure that the position of I is not equal to the position of J. After that, we're going to have an if conditional statement that is going to compare the values of one. So basically what's happening is that we kind of have like two sorted card hands, which are separate from each other. And what's happening is that we're comparing one element in the sorted card hand with another element in the other sorted card hand. And we're basically just trying to get a count. Once we get a specific count, we're gonna know if this card hand is 3 of a kind or not. And one way to determine that would be to go right below this for loop and then just go if counter equals 6. Then we want to do something. And I'm just going to add a little comment here. Counter equals 6 means the value match with another value in your hand 3 times. 3 of a kind. And inside this if conditional, we just want to go is 3 of a kind equals true. And then we just want to go something like this. 3 of a kind. Then ultimately we're just going to return is 3 of a kind. All right, so this is pretty much it right here. So we have this if conditional statement and we see that the counter is going to be equal to 6. But what I mean when the counter is equal to 6, this means that the value matched with another value in your hand 3 times. So if you were to have 2 separate hands, if you can just imagine we have 2 separate hands of Jack, 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 4, and 2. What's going to happen is that imagine you have just another sorted hand. We're going to take, for example, this Jack, and then we're going to compare it. You know what, let me just see if I can try to write something out here. Let's just say we have Jack, 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 4, 2. And then we have another one, Jack, 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 4, 2. All right? And basically the way this code is going to work is we're making sure in this loop that I is not equal to J. So what's happening here is that when we make our way through this list, we need to make sure that the position of I is not equal to j. So we're going to compare this, not against this one, but against these two. This, okay, and then this is also going to be compared against this. And what's going to happen is that that's going to add to our count. So within this iteration for this element, we're going to have 1, 2. All right, and we're not going to count for this same position. And then we're going to make our way through the next element in this list, and then we're going to compare it to this as well as this. We won't compare it to this because of this conditional statement that we have here. So that's going to be 4. So first of all, we have 1 compared to this. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If we were to keep going, as you can see, we won't be matching any of these other ones because 4 does not exist in another position and 2 does not exist within another position. So ultimately, this will give us 6, which will make this a 3 of a kind. So hopefully this makes sense to you guys. Let me just zoom this out real quick. I'm going to save, and then I'm going to pass in these 2 examples here. Just going to go copy and run the app, and I can zoom this in, paste, enter, 3 of a kind. So this is pretty straightforward, and hopefully it makes sense to you guys. And that is the 3 of a kind method. All right, so with that being said, let's go ahead and just jump right into the next method. And the next method is going to be 2pair. All right, so with this 2pair method, I'm just going to create the method first. And then, so this is Boolean. We can remove this. And what I'm going to do is also just copy this, or just cut it actually. All right, I scroll all the way down to the bottom, right under this check 3 of a kind method here, and just paste. We know we're going to return a Boolean. We're going to put null for now. All right, and then we're going to get right into this 2pair method. First thing I want to do is add a comment. I've explained what 2pair is in the presentation from before. I'm just going to write 2pair is a hand that contains 2 cards of 1 rank, 2 cards of another rank, and 1 card of a 3rd rank, and 1 card of a 3rd rank. All right, and I'm also just going to give a little example here. Combination to check. For C4S9H. Okay, so as you can see, this is the combination to check. We're going to have 2 cards of 1 rank. Yeah, so basically it's 2 cards of 1 rank, 2 cards of another rank, and then 1 card of a 3rd rank. So 2 cards of 1 rank, 2 cards of another rank, and then 1 card of a 3rd rank. All right. So this is what we're going to be doing now. We're gonna start with the implementation. Let me zoom this in for you guys. Okay, I just want to go int counter equals 0. And then I just want to go for int I equals 0. I is lesser than. Well, actually, this is going to be pretty similar to what we did above. So to make this a little bit simpler, we could just copy and paste what we had before up here. Simply just copy and paste this. Just make life a little bit easier. Okay. So it's pretty much going to be really similar. Yeah, it's going to be very similar to what we did up here. And we just go down here and just add our if conditional statement. This conditional statement is just going to go if counter is equal to 4. Then we're just going to go is to pair equals true, and then print out to pair. Then we can just add a comment here. Counter equals 4 means the value counter equals 4 means the value matched with another value in your hand 2 times to pair. So that's basically what this means here. If the counter equals 4, it means that the value matched with another value in your hand 2 times. So it's kind of going to be similar to this 3 of a kind example that I gave you up here. And if you guys want, we can also just do a little example here real quick. Jack, Jack, 4, 4, 9. Jack, Jack, 4, 4, 9. All right, so the counter will be equal to 4. So for this, we have a Jack, and due to the fact that we're not going to be counting the same position, it's going to be Jack, and then the Jack here. That's the only time it occurred, just here. So that'd be 1, and then this, and this, that'll be 2. And then for this 4, it'll match with this one, and this 4 will be matched with this one. And this 9 will not match with anything since it's in the same position. So this would be counter equals 4. And this would be equivalent to a 2 pair. Only thing we need to do is just return is to pair. I'm going to save this, and then I can zoom out. From here, I can take our example, copy, run the application, and then we need to see if this is going to return us a 2 pair. And it does return us a 2 pair, as you can see right here. So that's the 2 pair method. All right. We're going to continue. The next method is going to be check pair. Create the method for this. And then I'm going to simply just copy this. Well, actually cut it. Scroll all the way down. Go right under this method and just paste. We know that this method needs to return a Boolean I'm going to remove this auto-generated stub. And from here, we're just going to go ahead and add our comment as usual. And I'm going to explain what a pair is. So a pair is a hand that contains 2 cards of the same rank and 3 cards not of the same rank. So we can do this pretty similar to the methods that we implemented above this code. But let's first of all write out the comment. A hand containing 2 cards of same rank and 3 cards not of the same rank. Combination to check. Q, queen, spades, queen of hearts, 9 of clubs, 2 of diamonds. Okay. Go ahead and zoom in. And also we need one more card. This is going to be, missing something, 6 of hearts. That's what I meant to put here. So we have queen of spades, queen of hearts, 6 of hearts, 9 of clubs, 2 of diamonds. And this would be a pair. Basically a hand containing 2 cards of the same rank, which is here, and 3 cards not of the same rank. All right. We then want to return, we can actually just return is pair. And as I said, this is going to be pretty similar to what we have up here. So we could actually just copy the check to pair, and we're just going to ultimately just change a couple things. We got our counter, we got our 2 loops here, but the only thing that's really going to change is this pair, and then this counter value is also going to be changed. And this here. We can also change to this. So ultimately, counter 2 means that the value match with another value in your hand one time. And that would be equivalent to a pair. And this is pretty much it. It's pretty straightforward. And as I said, it's pretty similar to this method. The only thing that we're changing is the counter. And I think this is pretty straightforward, but just to add clarity so that you guys are not missing anything, we can do this once more. Queen, queen, 6, 9, 2. All right, so ultimately what's happening here, we have a queen here, we have a queen here, that's going to be 1, a queen here, that's going to be 1, and that would pretty much be it. This 6 does not match it any other position, 9 does not match it any other position, and 2 does not match it any other position. So ultimately, the counter value that it needs to be equal to would be exactly 2. So without further ado, let's go ahead and copy, zoom this out, save our work, run the application. From here, I would just paste our input, and then we'll press enter, and then this will return pair. All right, and that's pretty much it for that method. And the last method that we're going to implement is going to be the check high card method. So I'm going to go ahead and create this method. I'm going to cut it, scroll all the way down to the pair method, go under there. Boolean. And I'm just going to simply return is high card. And we know that the high card is the lowest of all poker hands and doesn't match any of the higher poker hands. Alright, so we're going to just go ahead and implement the method right now. Alright, so we are first of all going to start off with a conditional statement. We're going to go if is royal flush equals false, and just going to go through each one of the ranks. Is straight flush equals false, and is four of a kind equals false, and is full house false, and is flush false, and is straight false, and is straight equals false, and is three of a kind false, and is two pair false, and is pair equals false. Then is high card true. High card. All right. So hopefully this makes sense to you guys what's going on. We know that the high card is the lowest of all poker hands, and this pretty much means that it doesn't match any of the higher poker hands. So any of the methods above this method that we've already implemented are higher than this high card ranking. So if it doesn't match any of these, then we're going to set high card equals true. Then we're also going to simply print out high card. So we can actually run this application right now. And I guess an example we could write here, combination to check would be ace, diamonds, queen, hearts, 9 heart, 5 club, and 3 of diamonds. So this hand doesn't match any of the above ranks. So you can run the application, paste, zoom this in, and we're just going to press enter, and high card is going to be returned. All right, so this is pretty much this. So this is pretty much the entire solution here to determining the hand, the highest poker hand, or determining the ranking of a poker hand passed in. So hopefully this makes sense to you guys. If you have any questions, feel free to add them to the comments below. But this is the full implementation here, and hopefully this actually helps you guys out on future interview questions. All right, guys, so the next thing we're going to do is jump right into the 3 of a kind method. So what we're going to do is, first of all, scroll up to check all ranks. And as you can see, I have this method. I'm going to uncomment, check 3 of a kind. I also want to let you guys know this. I added this here, this check pair method. I realized that it was not a method that was added. So I just added it here, this check pair method. But we're going to first of all start off with the check 3 of a kind. So we're going to go ahead and create this method. We know this method is going to return a Boolean, and I just want to cut this and then scroll all the way down right below straight method, or the check straight method, and just paste it right here. All right, we're going to move this little to-do auto-generated stub, and what we're going to do is just start implementing the method now. So the first thing that we need to do is write ourselves a comment, and we know what a 3 of a kind is based on the presentation that I showed you guys earlier. So basically a 3 of a kind is a hand that contains 3 cards of 1 rank and 2 cards and 2 non-paired cards. So let's just write that out. A hand that contains 3 cards of 1 rank and 2 non-paired cards. Do we know we're just going to return null for now? And also in this comment up here, I just want to go combination to check. I'm just going to go jack of clubs, jack of clubs, jack of clubs, 4 of hearts, and 2 of spades. Or we can also check this, queen of clubs, jack of clubs, 2 of clubs, 2 of hearts, 2 of spades. Okay, so these are the combinations that we're going to be checking. Next, I'm going to zoom this in real quick for you guys. All right, so now we're going to start with the implementation of this method. So the first thing that we need to do is create ourselves a counter. We're just going to go int counter equals 0. And ultimately, this counter is going to be keeping track of the number of cards within the hand, of the number of similar of the same card in the hand. So, and this counter is going to make sense later. So let me just start off with this. We're going to then create ourselves a for loop. I'm just going to go for int I equals 0. I is lesser than or equal to sorted card hand dot size -1 I plus plus. Then I'm going to have another loop in here for int I int j equals 0. J is lesser than or equal to sorted card hand dot size -1 j plus plus. All right, so as you can see here, we have two for loops. We have a for loop here for the sorted card hand, which is using I, and then we have another loop down here, which is using j. So we're going to be iterating through the list twice. And when we iterate through this list, we want to first of all check and see if I is not equal to j. And basically what this means is that we want to make sure that before we do anything, we need to ensure that the position of I is not going to be equal to j. And then from here, we're going to check and see if the sorted card hand that get at position I dot face is equal to sorted card hand that get at position J dot face. So basically what we're doing here is we're counting the number of cards in the hand, in the sorted hand that is passed in. And once we get a count of this, we're going to determine whether or not this hand is going to be 3 of a kind or not. So let me just go ahead and implement this. I'm just going to go if sorted card hand dot get at position I dot face equals sorted card hand dot get at position J dot face. Then what I want to do is counter plus plus, add 1 to the counter. All right, so basically this is what's going on. We have a sorted card hand that is passed in. We are then iterating through the sorted card hand twice. We then are wanting to make sure that the position of I is not equal to the position of J. After that, we're going to have an if conditional statement that is going to compare the values of one. So basically what's happening is that we kind of have like two sorted card hands, which are separate from each other. And what's happening is that we're comparing one element in the sorted card hand with another element in the other sorted card hand. And we're basically just trying to get a count. Once we get a specific count, we're gonna know if this card hand is 3 of a kind or not. And one way to determine that would be to go right below this for loop and then just go if counter equals 6. Then we want to do something. And I'm just going to add a little comment here. Counter equals 6 means the value match with another value in your hand 3 times. 3 of a kind. And inside this if conditional, we just want to go is 3 of a kind equals true. And then we just want to go something like this. 3 of a kind. Then ultimately we're just going to return is 3 of a kind. All right, so this is pretty much it right here. So we have this if conditional statement and we see that the counter is going to be equal to 6. But what I mean when the counter is equal to 6, this means that the value matched with another value in your hand 3 times. So if you were to have 2 separate hands, if you can just imagine we have 2 separate hands of Jack, 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 4, and 2. What's going to happen is that imagine you have just another sorted hand. We're going to take, for example, this Jack, and then we're going to compare it. You know what? Let me just see if I can try to write something out here. Let's just say we have Jack, 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 4, 2. And then we have another one, Jack, 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 4, 2. All right? And basically the way this code is going to work is we're making sure in this loop that I is not equal to J. So what's happening here is that when we make our way through this list, we need to make sure that the position of I is not equal to J. So we're going to compare this, not against this one, but against these two. This, okay, and then this is also going to be compared against this. And what's going to happen is that that's going to add to our count. So within this iteration for this element, we're going to have 1, 2. All right? And we're not going to count for this same position. And then we're going to make our way through the next element in this list. And then we're going to compare it to this as well as this. We won't compare it to this because of this conditional statement that we have here. So that's going to be 4. So first of all, we have 1 compared to this. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If we were to keep going, as you can see, we won't be matching any of these other ones because 4 does not exist in another position and 2 does not exist within another position. So ultimately, this will give us 6, which will make this a 3 of a kind. So hopefully this makes sense to you guys. Let me just zoom this out real quick. I'm going to save, and then I'm going to pass in these 2 examples here. Just going to go copy and run the app, and I can zoom this in, paste, enter, 3 of a kind. So this is pretty straightforward, and hopefully it makes sense to you guys. And that is the 3 of a kind method. All right, so with that being said, let's go ahead and just jump right into the next method. And the next method is going to be 2-pair. All right, so with this 2-pair method, I'm just going to create the method first. And then, so this is Boolean. We can remove this. And what I'm going to do is also just copy this, or just cut it actually. All right, I scroll all the way down to the bottom, right under this check 3 of a kind method here, and just paste. We know we're going to return a Boolean. We're going to put null for now. All right, and then we're going to get right into this 2-pair method. First thing I want to do is add a comment. I've explained what 2-pair is in the presentation from before. I'm just going to write 2-pair is a hand that contains 2 cards of 1 rank, 2 cards of another rank, and one card of a third rank, and one card of a third rank. All right, and I'm also just going to give a little example here. Combination to check. For C4S9H. Okay, so as you can see, this is the combination to check. We're going to have two cards of one rank. Yeah, so basically it's two cards of one rank, two cards of another rank, and then one card of a third rank. So two cards of one rank, two cards of another rank, and then one card of a third rank. All right. So this is what we're going to be doing now. We're gonna start with the implementation. Let me zoom this in for you guys. Okay, I just want to go int counter equals 0. And then I just want to go for int I equals 0. I is lesser than. Well, actually, this is going to be pretty similar to what we did above. So to make this a little bit simpler, we could just copy and paste what we had before up here. Simply just copy and paste this. Just make life a little bit easier. Okay. So it's pretty much going to be really similar. Yeah, it's going to be very similar to what we did up here. And we just go down here and just add our if conditional statement. This conditional statement is just going to go if counter is equal to 4. Then we're just going to go is to pair equals true, and then print out to pair. Then we can just add a comment here. Counter equals 4 means the value. Counter equals 4 means the value matched with another value in your hand 2 times to pair. So that's basically what this means here. If the counter equals 4, it means that the value matched with another value in your hand 2 times. So it's kind of going to be similar to this 3 of a kind example that I gave you up here. And if you guys want, we can also just do a little example here real quick. Jack, Jack, 4, 4, 9. Jack, Jack, 4, 4, 9. All right, so the counter will be equal to 4. So for this, we have a Jack, and due to the fact that we're not going to be counting the same position, it's going to be Jack, and then the Jack here. That's the only time it occurred, just here. So that'd be 1, and then this and this, that'll be 2. And then for this 4, it'll match with this one, and this 4 will be matched with this one. And this 9 would not match with anything since it's in the same position. So this would be counter equals 4. And this would be equivalent to a 2 pair. Only thing we need to do is just return is to pair. I'm going to save this, and then I can zoom out. From here, I can take our example, copy, run the application, and then we need to see if this is going to return us a 2 pair. And it does return us a 2 pair, as you can see right here. So that's the 2 pair method. All right. We're going to continue. The next method is going to be check pair. Create the method for this. And then I'm going to simply just copy this. Well, actually cut it. Scroll all the way down. Go right under this method and just paste. We know that this method needs to return a Boolean. I'm going to remove this auto-generated stub. And from here, we're just going to go ahead and add our comment as usual. And I'm going to explain what a pair is. So a pair is a hand that contains 2 cards of the same rank and 3 cards not of the same rank. So we can do this pretty similar to the methods that we implemented above this code. But let's first of all write out the comment. A hand containing 2 cards of same rank and 3 cards not of the same rank. Combination to check. Q, queen, spades, queen of hearts, 9 of clubs, 2 of diamonds. Okay. Go ahead and zoom in. And also we need one more card. This is going to be, I'm missing something, 6 of hearts. That's what I meant to put here. So we have queen of spades, queen of hearts, 6 of hearts, 9 of clubs, 2 of diamonds. And this would be a pair. Basically a hand containing 2 cards of the same rank, which is here, and 3 cards not of the same rank. All right. We then want to return, we can actually just return is pair. And as I said, this is going to be pretty similar to what we have up here. So we could actually just copy the check to pair, and we're just going to ultimately just change a couple things. We got our counter, we got our 2 loops here, but the only thing that's really going to change is this is pair, and then this counter value is also going to be changed. And this here. We can also change this. So ultimately, counter 2 means that the value match with another value in your hand one time. And that would be equivalent to a pair. And this is pretty much it. It's pretty straightforward. And as I said, it's pretty similar to this method. The only thing that we're changing is the counter. And I think this is pretty straightforward, but just to add clarity so that you guys are not missing anything, we can do this once more. Queen, queen, 6, 9, 2. All right, so ultimately what's happening here, we have a queen here, we have a queen here, that's going to be 1, a queen here, that's going to be 1, and that would pretty much be it. This 6 does not match it any other position, 9 does not match it any other position, and 2 does not match it any other position. So ultimately, the counter value that it needs to be equal to would be exactly 2. So without further ado, let's go ahead and copy, zoom this out, save our work, run the application. From here, I would just paste our input, and then we'll press enter, and then this will return pair. All right, and that's pretty much it for that method. And the last method that we're gonna implement is going to be the check high card method. So I'm gonna go ahead and create this method. I'm gonna cut it, scroll all the way down to the pair method, go under there. Boolean. And I'm just going to simply return is high card. And we know that the high card is the lowest of all poker hands and doesn't match any of the higher poker hands. All right, so we're gonna just go ahead and implement the method right now. All right, so we are first of all going to start off with a conditional statement. We're going to go if is royal flush equals false, and just going to go through each one of the ranks. Is straight flush equals false, and is 4 of a kind equals false, and is full house false, and is flush false, and is straight false, and is straight equals false, and is 3 of a kind, false, and is 2, pair, false, and is pair equals false. Then is high card true. High card. All right. So hopefully this makes sense to you guys, what's going on. We know that the high card is the lowest of all poker hands, and this pretty much means that it doesn't match any of the higher poker hands. So any of the methods above this method that we've already implemented are higher than this high card ranking. So if it doesn't match any of these, then we're going to set high card equals true. Then we're also going to simply print out high card. So we can actually run this application right now. And I guess an example we could write here, combination to check would be ace, diamonds, queen, hearts, 9 heart, 5 club, and 3 of diamonds. So this hand doesn't match any of the above ranks. So you can run the application, paste, zoom this in, and we're just going to press enter, and high card is going to be returned. All right, so this is pretty much this. So this is pretty much the entire solution here to determining the hand, the highest poker hand, or determining the ranking of a poker hand passed in. So hopefully this makes sense to you guys. If you have any questions, feel free to add them to the comments below. But this is the full implementation here, and hopefully this actually helps you guys out on future interview questions. So if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. Don't forget to like the video if you've learned something from here. Also, don't forget to subscribe. And see you in the next one.